tabling his department's budget vote in Parliament yesterday, the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, said that unelectrified households, particularly in areas that include informal settlements, deep rural areas and newly formed housing developments, now account for 1.6 million households. And with over 8.4 million new households connecting, being delivered, access to the electricity in our country has expanded from just over 36% in 1994 to more than 94% by the end of 2024. The minister also highlighted that the department was prioritizing a national response to the gas master plan and implementation framework to mitigate the gas structural supply shortfall arising from the depletion of domestic gas reserves. And to talk to us more about his budget and South Africa's energy security priorities, we joined virtually now by Minister of Electricity and Energy, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. Minister, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers. Thank you very much for the invitation.
So, Minister, you said that this particular budget marks a turning point in South Africa's electricity recovery. How exactly is that going to happen, and what's going to be different?
Well, first is that we are on a good footing compared to 2023 and also 2024 in relation to our efforts to end load shedding. I think that the return of Medupi Unit number 4, the synchronization of Kusile Unit number 6, and our anticipated extension of life of Kubek Unit number 2 is going to place us on good footing. It's going to give us sufficient headroom for us to be able to ensure that we secure, at least in the short to medium term, energy security for the country. The second thing is that we're going to accelerate the onboarding of renewables with the anticipated approval of the integrated resource plan, which has been in the making for the past 2 years. That is its update. Now we have received the final comment from NEDLEC. It's finding its passage to Cabinet. I think we must be a bit more aggressive. We have attracted total investments upwards of 250 billion rands. As I speak to you, we've got over 7,700 megawatts on the grid, about 2,100 are still under construction, and over 1,700 still in negotiation. So we're moving in the right direction. But the point you are making in your opening remarks is particularly telling. The fact that we have not truly achieved universal access. As I speak to you, there are many households that are not in a position to watch us because of challenges of load reduction, and this has to do with the compromised state of reticulation and distribution infrastructure in municipalities. We have chosen that we will not fold our arms. We are going to make an intervention, working, including in ESCOM areas, to ensure that we refurbish, replenish, maintain those assets, get people back online so that they've got uninterrupted power supply for 24 hours, but also ensure that we are able to provide dedicated capacity to municipalities. I think the biggest challenge is on the technical side. Many of the municipalities don't have qualified engineers. I think across the country, of the 252 or so municipalities, less than 11 of them have got professionally registered electrical engineers. So that's the scale of the problem. So we'll work with municipalities to address that. And finally is to make sure that the 1.96 million households that have not been electrified gets to be electrified using a new technology in the form of a combination of solar PV and battery. And in fact, we'll be launching the first of those sites, I think, in the next 3 weeks or so. So that's the direction we're taking, Sakina.
And let me appreciate, first off, Minister, that you acknowledge that there are still problems. And of course, for those who don't have electricity or who have those intermittent cuts, it is a serious problem. So let me appreciate you acknowledging that. But moving on to the rollout, especially of renewables and speaking to the grid, how much of this budget is being allocated to stabilizing the existing ESCOM fleet, and how much of it is going towards expanding the grid to enable that new capacity?
Oh, that's great. So remember that the budget of the department really, it's insignificant in the totality of the scale of investment that is required. So we're talking about 6.9 billion. So what we're doing, we're enabling. Of course, we've got a compact with a shareholder compact with ESCOM. As you know, I'm the sole shareholder representative at ESCOM on behalf of the South African people. So ESCOM will be rolling out the intervention. First, the NTCSA will roll out an intervention on transmission for 14,000 kilometers of new lines. We're going out the end of this month, July, on the request for qualification, the first of its kind. It will be the biggest build program of a democratic government, 440 billion rands in the next 7 to 10 years. But a large part of that 440 billion, Sakina, will be coming from private sector. We have identified candidate corridors that will be concessioned out to private sector to bring their own investment technology skills, and then we provide the technical specifications and requirements. And of course, over a period of time, we'll determine what is that length of time. It then reverts back to the state. And then on the new connections, it's a combination of ESCOM, of course, continues to roll out its new connections, but from our side, we've assigned dedicated 13 billion rands over the medium term that is in the next 3 years, but that's still insufficient. So what we'll be doing, we'll be housing this facility at the DBSA, we'll be crowding in private sector investment, especially the one that is directed at what we refer to as the just transition, because there is no better just energy transition intervention than this one. And we hope, Sakina, in the course of this, because we can guarantee offtake, remember, on the transmission side, for the next 7 to 10 years, 440 billion. So we know we need the wires, we need the pylons, we need the transformers. So there's going to be a requirement to localize, so that on the back of this program, you are able to broaden the industrial base, get people into employment, and resolve another problem, which is really a preeminent problem, an employment and jobs, a jobs problem. And with connection of new homes, the 1.6 million, I did say it's a combination of solar and PV. So you get people from those communities. They're the ones who must then participate in the construction. But because the pipeline is so huge and certain over a prolonged period of time, then you localize the manufacturing of those components. So if you like, it's a combo, it's a 10-key solution that addresses the megawatts into the grid, but more significantly, the jobs and the industrialization components again.
And there's so much to talk about, Minister, but you speak about that just transition and the critical implications thereof, especially on communities that live in the coal belt, so to speak, because for that transition to be just, it means that people should not lose their livelihoods. You need to take care of the jobs at the same time moving towards these renewable energy sources. So what is the plan? And does this budget in any way look to facilitate that particular aspect?
Absolutely, Sakina. That observation is on the mark. I mean, if you go to Komati, I think there's a tragedy that is unfolding there. And there are lessons that we have learned from Komati. And the biggest lesson there, and that's what I get to share with my counterparts from other jurisdictions, is that Komati is a perfect example of how not to transition. What do I mean by that? Exactly your point. These are coal communities. I mean, if you look at Komati, you go to Kendrena, you go to Camden, I can mention them, all those small towns that are hosting our power stations. Their economy really is a coal mine, which feeds into power stations and all the related activities. You'll find that over 70% of employment, and this is no exaggeration, of the people in those small towns are attached in one way or another to that value chain of coal production. So when you close it without offering alternatives, you're really decimating the space. So we've decimated Komati. And that we are acknowledging. So what are the things to do going forward, which is your question, is that we must front load the benefits of this transition. Before you even imagine of closing a power station, then provide alternative employment. And the net result must be such that the employment is positive and not negative. And also we making the point that you are not decommissioning the power station. Decommission means you close, you obliterate, you destroy all the infrastructure, and then you use it for other things. We're talking about shutting down and repurposing. You use the existing infrastructure, common infrastructure, your transmission, your controls, instrumentation, but you use a different energy source. It could be gas, it could be whatever. Going into the future, we know that the small modular reactors will come into play. So you could be even solar, PV, it could be wind, but you are using the existing infrastructure, the footprint of the power station to evacuate those electrons, and you transition people from a coal energy supply into another form of a primary source of energy. So that's the interventions that we'll be making when we go into this area. But ultimately, when you do all of these things, it must be such that you don't compromise your ability to keep the lights on. That's very important. Whatever intervention you are making, when you take the megawatts out, you must show that you are bringing back equivalent megawatts in, and even better, you want to bring more megawatts into the grid. And of course, the last point, I want to make, Sakina, is that the electricity is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive. So we put aside the issues of, very important issues of load reduction. Very few can afford this electricity. Businesses are becoming uncompetitive. You and I included find it very difficult to pay. Imagine the poor. It's a disproportionate impact on the poor. So we're packaging an electricity pricing policy, a revision, and taking it to cabinet and proposing measures to ensure that we alleviate the cost of electricity. It's unaffordable. You can't continue on this path. You are going to introduce other manifestations of energy poverty. It's untenable. It's inexplicable. We bear that responsibility, and I really want to say to the nation that we're working on that. I'll be taking it through to cabinet, and hopefully we can provide much needed relief.
And hopefully we can walk that journey together, because that is a crucial point, Minister. And as you say, it leads to other unintended consequences, because if people can't afford electricity, they will find ways to bypass the system in order to have that electricity illegally. But we're out of time, Minister, so please indulge me in half a minute. Just very quickly touching on, you spoke about gas as one of those mitigating factors, but we are facing an impending gas shortage in South Africa. So what's the mitigation for that?
Gas accounts for about 5% of the GDP, employs over 400,000 people who are running short of gas in the next 2 years. That's the projection. If we don't make that intervention, the load shedding of 2023 will look like a Sunday picnic. It's an emergency. So we're putting together a document to go to cabinet. We think that the procurement of liquefied natural gas, it's a way to go as we explore domestic gas reserves. But the earliest intervention is LNG, get the infrastructure right, and assure a gas supply to all the users. Otherwise, it's going to erode all the gains that we have made over the past 2 years, Sakina.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Minister Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, Minister of Electricity and Energy, talking to us about his department's budget vote that was tabled in Parliament yesterday. Feel free to let us know your views as well.